Part 49. Being a Bug in a Survival Game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 485. The expression on the cheap lady's face seemed to be dull for a moment, and she turned her head stiffly. You. Wow, sister, I'm hungry, Sutingyu continued to cry, not giving the cheap elder sister a chance to react. Stop crying, Sister Xianyuan yelled fiercely, Mom has already made breakfast. Sutingyu became happy in a second. Really? Then I'm going to eat. After saying that, Sutingyu started running quickly with the basket of grass in hand, and immediately passed the cheap eldest sister. Sutingyu, who got through the test, went to eat honestly, and stayed at home to help with the work. However, Sutingyu found that no matter where she went, the cheap lady followed her like a shadow and couldn't get rid of her. Moreover, she didn't speak a word and just stared directly at Sutingyu's back. Sutingyu's heart slowly sank. With such a giant Buddha staring at him, Sutingyu's movement was completely restricted during the day. Fortunately, Sutingyu didn't plan to go out to do anything. The main plot of this round of dungeon was just to survive and participate in the dragon boat race. In the evening, Xianyang's father came back and brought news about the dragon boat race. The tribe agreed that women should participate in the competition together. Each dragon boat has a total of 23 people, including 19 men and 4 women. Tomorrow is the dragon boat race. I can't sleep tonight, haha. Cheap's father drank a large bowl of wine and laughed loudly. Sushi solved the problem of the dragon boat crew, and suddenly felt relaxed and comfortable. Sutingyu saw with her own eyes that her father drank a lot of wine. Except for his face being a little red, there was nothing abnormal at all, and he couldn't help but raise a question mark in his heart. According to the previous speculation, there must be something wrong with the NPC, but the time has not reached midnight. Except for the occasional something amiss, there is no taboo against evil spirits such as mugwort, sachets, and realgar wine. Could it be that the NPC is not evil? Was her guess wrong? But that thing last night was obviously unable to get in because wine was spilled on the door. Maybe it's not his 3 cheap family members hanging around outside? But the evil spirits outside broke in? Yaoxi killed people last night, all of them were players, but not NPC villagers. Sutingyu suddenly thought of this. Those players who died inside the house did not go out, so naturally they could not be killed by NPC villagers as if they were possessed by evil spirits. All those who died were players. No NPC villagers were killed by the evil spirits who broke in. This itself is unreasonable. Is it possible that the evil spirits also know who the players are and specifically kill them? The more Sutingyu thought about it, the more confused she became, and her desire to go out at night began to stir again. But when I think about the main plot rules. Annoying, Sutingyu burped after finishing the remaining rice in the bowl. My mother's home-cooked food is quite delicious. After finishing dinner and tidying up, Sutingyu returned to the house. Just as he was about to sprinkle realgar wine on the doors and windows, he made a move. It's better to have fun alone than to have fun together. You can't just favor me in this house doors and windows, right? Ever since, Sutingyu went out with a jar of wine in one hand. First they sprayed the door of the yard, and then they sprayed every door and window in the house, including the house where the 3 cheap family members lived. Sutingyu muttered, on the first night, cheap mother seemed to have only sprayed the door, but not the windows. Look, how considerate and attentive I am, now the windows are also sprayed, not even a crack can be left. Being a bug in a survival game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 486. Sutingyu, who successfully finished 2 jars of wine, returned to his room with satisfaction. Last night, Sutingyu spilled wine on the door of her house, but the smell of wine on other doors in the house was weak, so the weird things outside couldn't get in. What about this time? Sutingyu had sprayed the whole house. Will the strange things come again? Sutingyu was quite curious. It was not midnight yet, and it was boring to wait, so Sutingyu took out the tools and materials for making potions in the ring and used to make potions to pass the time. Time passed bit by bit, and 0 o'clock came. The panel pops up as usual. Dear Dragon Boat Festival Ankang players, please note that the exploration mission of this round of dungeons is officially started on May 4th. 19th round of exploration time, midnight -1 o'clock. 19th round of exploration players, 7201 7600 numbers. It's coming, Sutingyu jumped up excitedly, almost knocking over the potion being prepared. Immediately afterwards, there was another rush to clean up. Sutingyu released a big ash. Duhwei, pay attention to what's going on outside. Okay boss. Sutingyu carefully prepared the last bottle of potion in his hand, then put all the tools and remaining materials back into the ring. It was midnight, and she still didn't know what would happen. Sutingyu thought it would be better to take back these fragile items. However, those strange things appeared a little late last night. Sutingyu was still asleep, so he lay on the bed and read the magic book. There are so many high-end potions. You need to spend more time learning magic. Otherwise, high-end potions like disguise potions need to be used less often. After reading for 2 hours, Sutingyu yawned. It has been 2 rounds of outing missions, but there was no movement outside the house. Forget it, let's squint for a while. Anyway, Big Gray is keeping watch. Sutingyu took back the magic book and fell asleep holding the quilt. Dewey is still hanging around the door conscientiously. After a while, Dewey muttered in a low voice, "There seems to be a noise outside, but I can't go out." De Feng was extremely curious, but it was still wandering around and did not go out. This is definitely not scary anymore. It's just strictly obeying its master's orders. That's it? That's right. At this time, outside, several rooms were lit with candles, and 2 human-shaped black shadows were reflected on the window paper. Just when those human-shaped black figures were about to approach the door and come out, a strong smell of alcohol floated from outside the door. The black figures with teeth and claws were suddenly petrified and motionless. 1 second, 2 seconds, the black shadow frantically opened the door. Squeak, a very weak smoke drifted out from the edge of the door. After a while, the black shadow seemed to move away from the door, and the reflection on the window paper also became smaller. The door didn't move at all. Some kind of sad and unwilling cry floated out, blown to pieces by the empty night wind, and it was lost in tone. After a while, the black shadow moved to the window, and just as he made a gesture of preparing to break the window and get out, the familiar smell of alcohol came again. Then, the sour sound of nails scraping on the wood was heard intermittently, and it continued until 5 hours, 59 minutes, and 59 seconds. Oh. The rooster crows. The sun is rising. The house was quiet and fell into dead silence. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Being a Bug in a Survival Game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 487. What? Nothing happened all night. As soon as Sutingyu woke up, she heard such tragic news. Dewey nodded, "Master, I promise that I have been paying attention to the movements outside all night long, and there really are no black shadows." Sutingyu slapped her forehead, looking depressed. "What's going on?" The big ash was floating in the air, and he scratched the hair on his face with his hands, feeling very puzzled. "Wait a minute, all the doors and windows are sprinkled, I can't tell whether it was the evil spirits from outside that came in on the night of the 3rd grade of junior high school, or a few cheap relatives of my own. Careless. I was so drunk last night that I forgot about this. Sutinyu came up with a not so good idea. Could it be that his cheap relatives couldn't even get out of the room last night? There's only one night left, why don't we rinse the wine off the doors and windows of our cheap relatives today? Sutinyu thought about it and thought it was feasible. However, during the day, except for the cheap eldest sister who occasionally convulses, everyone else is normal. If she washes away the smell of alcohol, wouldn't it appear that she is abnormal? There's still a day or two left for this dungeon, right? Tomorrow is the dragon boat race. I wonder if I can meet Kikai and Guju. Sutinyu muttered as he jumped out of bed. After taking the big ash back, Sutinyu opened the door and left the house. This time, there are busy figures of the cheap mother and the cheap eldest sister in the kitchen again. Sutinyu thought for a while and moved towards the kitchen. But when Sutinyu saw their faces clearly, he was stunned. "Mom, eldest sister, didn't you sleep well last night?" Sutinyu pointed at the heavy dark circles on their faces. "Haha, I had a nightmare last night, so I didn't sleep well." The cheap mother seemed to be forcing a smile. "Xiao, please help me wash the rice today." Sutinyu tilted her head. "Why?" A few days ago, Sutinyu was also asked to help in the kitchen, but when she almost burned the two of them, they coaxed and pushed her out of the kitchen and no longer allowed her to touch the kitchen. "It's just that my hands hurt, and I don't want to touch the water to wash the rice. Don't come into the kitchen, just wash the rice outside," the cheap mother added the last sentence as if she was worried. Sutinyu glanced at their hands. The fingernails seemed to be red and swollen, but there were no obvious wounds. "Oh," Sutinyu nodded and took the big bowl for washing rice. "Mom, don't worry, I will wash the rice well. Go go. Little sister." Just as Sutinyu turned around to leave, she heard Sister Xianyuan's call. "Sister, is there anything else?" A smile appeared on the corner of cheap sister's lips. "Little sister, she slept very soundly last night." Before the cheap eldest sister finished speaking, Sutinyu nodded immediately. "That's right. I slept until dawn. Sister, take a look, there are no dark circles under my eyes." "Haha, that's very good, very good." The cheap lady had a stiff face. "Sister, if there's nothing else, I'll go wash the rice first." "Go ahead." As soon as he finished speaking, Sutinyu jumped away and ran away. The two of them are in a bit of a weird state today. While washing the rice, Sutinyu was still thinking about why the two of them were so sleepy after not sleeping all night and doing a lot of physical work. "Dad, morning, you're awake." Well, well." The cheap father who came out yawned widely and looked like he was sleep deprived. Cheap mother and cheap dad are okay, after all, there are two people in the same room. But the cheap eldest sister sleeps alone, right? One person exercise. Being a bug in a survival game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 488. While having breakfast, Pai Bao's father announced something. "Registration for the dragon boat races today. Xiao, do you want to sign up?" Hearing this, Sutinyu nodded immediately. "Yes, yes. I want to sign up too." "Me too," the little kid joined in the fun not to be outdone. "Xiaxia, you are still young. You will be able to participate in the dragon boat competition in a few years." The cheap mother reached out and touched the little kid's forehead and comforted her. "It's a pity that I can't participate in such a grand event," Sister Xianyuan said regretfully. "Although women are allowed to compete, married women are not allowed to participate." Sutinyu looked innocent. "Don't worry, eldest sister, I will work hard together with your share. In this case, one of the 12 quotas will be reserved for Xiao." The cheap father made the decision on the spot. "Thank you, Dad," Sutinyu smiled brightly. This is the benefit of having a village chief dad, who can use the back door openly. There are other female players in the village, and those who want to sign up can only queue up and sign up honestly. After breakfast, Cheap's father went out to deal with registration matters. Today, Sotingyu didn't plan to go to Fatty anymore, because her cheap eldest sister had set her sights on her again. No matter it was big or small, as long as there was any trivial work, she would send herself to work. Sotingyu worked conscientiously at the beginning, but after working for too long, she had finished all the simple tasks, and the more complicated ones, the cheap eldest sister didn't dare to leave it to Sotingyu. Finally, in the afternoon, Sotingyu was finally able to go out. When Sotingyu went out this time, he immediately went to check if there were any new dead players last night. As a result, there are the same, and among them, there are also players who were killed indoors. It's just that most of the day has passed, and the first scene has long been destroyed, and the body has been put into a coffin. Sotingyu couldn't pry open the coffin board in public. Sotingyu also went to the registration office. As the village chief's daughter, she was able to take a look at the registered information, including names, addresses, etc. As Sotingyu expected, the women who signed up for the competition were all players, because indigenous NPC women still have relatively conservative ideas and it was almost impossible to sign up. On the list, Sotingyu also saw Brother Baobao's registration information, so he used some of the privileges of the village chief's daughter to let Brother Baobao form a team with her. Not only that, Sotingyu's team is composed entirely of players and has no NPCs. There is no direct competition between players in this round, and smart players will want to join forces. Of course, Sotingyu does not rule out the possibility that some players may notice her game nickname and have bad intentions. If this happens, Sotingyu will have no choice but to ask him to take a bath in the Shangchuan River. The general matters were almost settled, and Sotingyu was ready to go home. After tonight, the dragon boat race should be tomorrow. Sotingyu was quite curious as to whether this dragon boat competition was normal, although, this possibility was a bit slim. With the doorstep of her home right in front of her, Sotingyu hummed a little tune and jumped up and down, stepping on the afterglow of the setting sun. Big fish. Suddenly, Sotingyu heard a familiar voice. She paused slightly, hesitated for 2 seconds, and turned around to look for the sound. Under the setting sun, a calm figure came against the light. Sotingyu's pupils slowly dilated, a smile appeared on his face unconsciously, and he ran towards that person. Kikai. Being a bug in a survival game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 489. Sotingyu gave a bear hug and threw herself directly into the man's arms. Kikai, why are you here? Are you looking for me? How long have you been gone? Yes, have you seen Gujuwa? I saw Fatty. Sotingyu was chirping like a cheerful lark, with a face full of joy. Qin-Chi helped Sotingyu stabilize his body, and then listened silently to every word of the girl. After the latter finished speaking, he spoke slowly and answered one by one. I came here on foot to find you, I left not long ago and I didn't see Gucci. Sotingyu suddenly remembered Qin-Chi's skyrocketing points, and quickly asked, Kikai, what's going on with your points? You rushed to the first place all of a sudden? I was even pushed out. After saying the last sentence, Sotingyu pursed his lips. After all, my last event dungeon was still the top boss. Now he's only ranked in the dozens, and the thief doesn't have the reputation. That night, I killed all the NPCs in the house where I stayed, Qin-Chi said calmly. Sotingyu blinked his big eyes and said calmly, do NPCs really turn into evil spirits after 0 o'clock? Yes, Qin-Chi nodded. The specific situation is that the NPC seems to be possessed by the red energy evil spirit. During the day, he is like a normal person, without fear of any items used to restrain the evil spirit. Once it reaches 0 o'clock, slowly, it will begin. The true colors are revealed. The red energy is evil, wouldn't that mean more points? No wonder the points of the players on the list have generally increased in the past 2 nights, and they are almost separated from the previous players. Well, players who want to go out these 2 nights must first kill the NPCs under the same roof. If they cannot be killed, the players themselves will die and be eliminated from the dungeon, Qin explained. Oh, that's right, Kikai, you said you're staying here? Qin, I left my original home on the first day. I went to each village looking for you and others. At night, I paid to stay in the nearest village for 1 night. But so far, I have only found about you. Wow! You can still do this, Sutingyu was surprised. By the way, Kikai, then you didn't sign up for the dragon boat race? Why not sign up in this village? Sign up? Did you sign up? Qin asked. Sutingyu nodded with a proud look on his face. Yes, he, I happen to be the village chief's daughter, so I can open the back door for you. How is it? Am I great? Seeing this, Qin pursed her lips and smiled softly. Yeah, great. I think so too. Sutingyu took Qin's hand and ran to the registration office, muttering, there is still time, I will kick out an NPC, and then put him in my dragon boat, put one of the male players into other ships, and finally add you. Perfect. Sutingyu took Qin to the registration office. At this time, the registration was almost over. There's still 1 person left. Sutingyu's cheap father was holding the list with his brows furrowed. Dad! Dad! Sutingyu's eyes lit up when she heard Cheap's father's whisper, I have someone here, and he also wants to participate in the dragon boat competition. Cheap's father turned around and saw the 2 of them. When his eyes fell on Qin, he hesitated on his face. This little brother doesn't seem to be from our village, right? He's a bit unfamiliar. Sutingyu casually made up, Dad, he is a traveler who has gone out to gain experience. He knew that the dragon boat race was about to start, so he came to our village to ask for a registration spot. Dad, there's still 1 more person to go. It's just right to include him. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Being a bug in a survival game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 490. Okay, then add him. There is still 1 person missing, which is indeed a problem. When Sutingyu, the fake daughter, asked, her father thought about it for a while, then nodded in agreement. That's right, Dad, this person is from outside. As the village chief's daughter, I should entertain them well, right? Just let him join my team. Sutingyu blinked her big eyes and said it logically. That's fine. Now that everyone is here, it's just a matter of changing the roster of the team. It's not a big deal, so Cheap's father agreed simply. After the matter was settled, Sutingyu rolled her eyes when she thought that Qin was still looking for a place to live. When she was about to speak, Qin beat her to it. Can you let me stay for 1 night? How much does it cost for accommodation? You can give me a price. Sutingyu was stunned for a moment, and then echoed, that's right, Dad, he's from outside. He definitely won't have a place tonight, so why don't we? It's okay, it's just a humble house. I hope my little brother will accept it. Qin is now representing the village in the competition, and his father's attitude is a bit gentler than before. There is still an empty room at home, so it doesn't matter if Qin stays for 1 night. Thank you, village chief. This is the cost of accommodation. Qin handed over a broken piece of silver. When the cheap father saw the broken silver, his eyes suddenly shone, and he quickly reached out to take it, while evading, this is really too polite, little brother, don't worry, even if it's just 10 days and a half, no problem, 3 meals a day are covered by our family. After Qin-Chi's matter came to a successful conclusion, Sutingyu made an excuse to take someone back to get acquainted with him, but his father still had some work to do, so he didn't go home with him. After leaving the registration office, Sutingyu was jumping up and down. Kikai, there are 2 empty rooms at home. One is close to the wall, and the other is closer to my room. Which one do you want to choose? On the way back, Sutingyu asked Qin-Chi's specific residence. Qin-Chi shook his head slightly, no need to choose. Ah. Why? Sutingyu tilted his head. Tonight is the last night of the dungeon. It will definitely not be easy. Then, I will go to your room. Qin-Chi kept observing Sutingyu's expression. Seeing that the latter didn't react much, I slowly relaxed a little. That's right. Hearing what Qin-Chi said, Sutingyu also felt that it made sense. Moreover, with Qin-Chi's skills, it was very simple to hide the cheap relatives at home from coming to her house. No matter how bad it was, and her invisibility had. Okay, after dinner at our house, the 4 NPCs will go back to the house one after another and usually won't come out. Sutingyu told some information about his family, such as the NPC's identity, personality, etc., so that Qin-Chi could feel comfortable there is a bottom. After returning home, Sutingyu briefly introduced Qin-Chi to his relatives. I heard that Cheap's father agreed, and the others didn't have much opinion. The Cheap mother also asked enthusiastically what she wanted to eat tonight and what her taboos were. She also took Qin-Chi to see the 2 empty rooms. Qin-Chi randomly chose the room closest to Sutingyu. Although he wouldn't live in it, he still wanted to show off. After the sun went down, my father came back. The family starts to have dinner. Because Sutingyu's character design for Qin-Chi was not suitable for excessive communication in public, he kept eating in silence. Xiao, tomorrow's dragon boat race, I don't ask you to perform well, as long as you don't do any harm, you understand. During the meal, the Cheap father couldn't help but give him a few words. Sutingyu nodded immediately. Don't worry, Dad. I won't hold you back. There is no such thing as being held back. Being a bug in a survival game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 491. After dinner. After watching his relatives return to the room one by one, Sutingyu waved to Qin-Chi secretly. The 2 of them entered the house together and closed the door. Sutingyu sat on the edge of the bed, dangling her legs. Kikai, do you think there will be any outing missions after midnight tonight? All 9,600 players have finished their rounds. In the main rules, it only talks about the 1st to 4th day of the lunar month. After midnight, it is the Dragon Boat Festival on the 5th day of the lunar month. Qin-Chi was silent for a moment and said. That's right. After Qin-Chi's reminder, Sutingyu also remembered that the main plot rules did not mention the night of the 5th day of the lunar month. Then the players will be free to move around tonight, right? Sutingyu looked forward to it. I couldn't go out to earn points for 3 nights before, but I was at a huge loss. If I could go out tonight, Sutingyu would have to make back my money. Wait, Qin-Chi said, at midnight, if there are no new arrangements for the copy, then we will go out. Good duck. Sutingyu retracted her legs and sat back on the bed with her whole body. Seeing Qin-Chi standing all the time, she patted the bed. Kikai, let's go together. What are you doing standing here? Qin-Chi hesitated for half a second, glanced at Sutingyu's unsuspecting and calm face, lowered his head and responded, yeah. Qin-Chi sat at the end of the bed and turned to watch Sutingyu take out some bottles and jars from the ring. Big fish, what are you doing? Sutingyu responded casually, refining magic potion. I learned magic from a master in the professional dungeon. That's right. Sutingyu took out some magic potions given to her by the teacher and pushed them in front of Qin-Chi. Kikai, these are magic potions. Take a look and see if you need anything. Qin-Chi blinked slightly, unable to react. Big fish, you want to send me Yes, Sutingyu said matter-of-factly, and then started nagging. Anyway, I still have a lot, by the way. I forgot to give some to Fatty, mainly because I don't have that much time. Every time I see him they all just left after saying business. Give him some more when you have time, he is so stubborn. He will definitely be happy to have more props for self-defense. Forget it, Guju, a person in power in the alliance must have more good things than me, so I won't give it. Qin Shi stared blankly at Sutingyu, who was still clasping his fingers and mumbling. After a few seconds, he lowered his head and looked at the magic potion in front of him, and the corners of his mouth slowly showed a slight arc. Big fish. How lucky I am to have you happy. Qin Shi thanked him softly. Well, thank you, big fish. This time, Qin Shi was no longer as pretentious as before when sending tokens. Because he seemed to understand Sutingyu's personality somewhat. Just as Qin Shi once said somewhere, if you don't need the things outside your body that you urgently need, it's of no use to give them to your friends. In the eyes of others, it is a treasure that must be kept as one's own, but in Sutingyu's eyes, friends who are recognized by her are more precious and are willing to share without asking for anything in return. It's not a big deal, I know how to practice anyway. Sutingyu put her hands on her hips, held her head high, and looked embarrassed. But, Kikai, if you still want more, you can reimburse the material fee yourself. I don't do loss-making business. Good. 0 point. Sutingyu's and Sutingyu's panels popped up at the same time. Dear surviving players of Dragon Boat Festival, please note that the main mission of this round of dungeons, Dragon Boat Race, has officially begun. All surviving players are asked to rush to the competition location, Jingshui Beach of Shangchuan River, within 2 hours to complete the team formation and get a dragon boat. Currently surviving players, 1,234. Being a bug in a survival game. Author, Kuan-Ke. Chapter 492. The moment the panel popped up, Sutingyu looked shocked after seeing the information on it. What's going on? Does this mean the dragon boat race will start after midnight? Not tomorrow, hiss. It seems like it's already after midnight now, it's the next day. A blind move, the dragon boat race? Are you sure you don't want to capsize? Qin Shi turned off the panel and stood up. 2 hours, let's set off quickly. Behind the panel information, there is also a map with a red dot on it, indicating the area where you are currently, and the Jingshui River beach area is also marked with green colors. Then the list of dragon boats I made in secret during the day was not in vain. Sutingyu stretched out her hands and let Qin Shi pull her up from the bed. From the map, Qingyu village is not very far from Jingshui River beach, but Sutingyu is more curious about letting the players go out to compete at night. Is this dungeon going to cause some trouble? You know, after midnight, there are evil spirits wandering outside. As soon as Sutingyu landed, he saw Qin Shi already holding the ancient bronze sword in his hand. Be careful when you go out, Qin Shi warned. There are 4 NPCs in this household, which means there are 4 evil spirits. Ahem. Sutingyu stretched out his hand and scratched his face, trying to organize his words. Maybe, there is no need to be so nervous, the wine I spilled last night is probably still there. Wine, Qin Shi blinked. From Qin Shi's side, Sutingyu was completely sure that the dark shadow at the front door was her cheap relative. On the night of the 4th day of the Lunar New Year, she also spilled wine on the doors and windows of her cheap relative, which probably trapped them inside. So Dawei waited all night, but there was not a single ghost except him. Sutingyu briefly explained what happened. After Qin Shi finished listening, he was stunned for a few seconds, and his expression returned to calm. You still have to pay attention. If the wine is too weak, evil spirits will come out. Yes, Sutingyu nodded. Qin Shi was in front and pushed open the door with one hand. Outside the yard, it was dark and cold wind blew. Sutingyu came out one step later, looked around, and glanced around the houses where cheap relatives lived. It was pitch black and there was nothing there. "Let's go," Qin-Chi whispered. In fact, if time had not been limited, it would have been possible to clean up the red energy demons in this household before going to Jingshui River Beach. After all, the 4 red chi demons' total 200 points instantly exceeded the 190 points Sutingyu had earned after a tiring night's work. When Sutingyu took the last step out of the courtyard, he turned and looked back. There was still no reaction in the room. Sutingyu's eyes looked slightly regretful. Pity. Anyway, she had free food and shelter for 5 days, but in the end she wasn't even given a chance to help him. "Father, Mother, your daughter is unfilial." After the two left, candlelight lit up the originally silent house in the yard, and black shadows with teeth and claws appeared on the layers of window paper. The two people who came out also encountered some white Chiyaoxi and gray Chiyaoxi who didn't have long eyes, and they all got rid of them easily. After leaving Jingyu village, the two planned a route to Jingshui River Beach. "Kikai, from the map, we can stop by Qingkai village where Fatty is." "How about we go find Fatty first?" Sutingyu suggested. Qin-Chi nodded, "Yes, okay." The route was quickly determined, and the two raced against time to set off immediately. If you can't reach Jingshui River Beach in 2 hours, you will probably be eliminated even if you fail the main mission. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Being a Bug in a Survival Game. Author, Kuan-Ke. Chapter 493. Qingkai Village, the ancestral home of the Feng family. Oh my god, what is this? Jingshui River Beach. Want to go out? The fat man's first reaction when he received the message on the panel was that he couldn't believe it. According to the content on this panel, wouldn't he be going out now? Thinking of the evil spirits wandering outside, Fatty shivered inexplicably. If you don't get to Jingshui River Beach within 2 hours, you won't be able to clear this round of dungeons, right? Fight, the fat man gritted his teeth and began to rummage through the props in his inventory, fully arming himself. It would be great if the bosses were here. It feels good to lie down and win for a while, and it feels good to lie down and win all the time. This map route, Qingkai village is here, and Qingyu village where the boss is here. The fat man's eyes suddenly lit up. Wait a minute, the boss will set off from Qingyu village to Jingshui River Beach, seems like he can stop by Qingkai village? No, do you know if the boss has noticed? Should I just wait here for a while? The fat man was in a dilemma. He continued to study the map. I'm not far from Jingshui River Beach. With the help of props, I should be able to reach Jingshui River Beach. If I wait half an hour before setting off, I should be able to make it in time. Then just wait half an hour at most. If the boss doesn't come, he can go to Jingshui River Beach by himself. After deciding, Fatty walked back and forth in the room. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, seeing the time displayed on the panel passing by bit, Fatty was extremely anxious. There are still 15 minutes left, go out and wait. The fat man held a flashlight in one hand and a large pot in the other. He also wore transparent gloves on both hands. He was wearing a turtle shell and the shoes he wore were replaced by sneakers. Sprinting props. Inside the house, the fat man lit a bright oil lamp, while the yard outside was pitch black, as if some monster might suddenly emerge from every dark corner. The fat man swallowed his saliva, moved towards the courtyard door one step at a time, then sat down on the steps, his ears raised, always paying attention to the movement outside the door. Big brother, big brother. Qingyu village, village entrance. We're here. Sutingyu looked at the stone monument erected at the entrance of the village, stopped, and adjusted his somewhat rapid breathing. Qin-Chi glanced at the surrounding environment and said, "Go in." Along the way, the two of them ran here with the help of a bottle of accelerating potion, which greatly shortened the originally required journey time. As soon as they entered the village, they saw evil spirits coming out to block the way. Without saying a word, Qin Shi swung his sword to deal with it. There are players. There are players here. Save us! Save us! Not long after entering the village, the two met other players in the village. And behind them, they were followed by several red energy demons. When Sutingyu saw this, a smile broke out on his face. We have another points delivered to our door Kikai, half of each of us. Okay, Qin Shi responded, and then took the lead. The 6 red chi demons were divided between Sutingyu and the two of them. In terms of appearance, the red chi monsters looked more like humans because they had been pretending to be humans for so long during the day. Even Sutingyu didn't suspect that all the NPCs were monsters at first. But once the body is deformed and the neck, hands, and feet are elongated, it will look terrible. After the body deformed, the red chi demon seemed to have only its body and head left, and then there were 5 long red meat strips swaying in the wind, with the top red meat strip connecting to the head. Sutingyu looked left and right. How should I put it? The evil red head looked like a balloon holding a string. It also made her feel a little itchy and wanted to pop the balloon. Being a bug in a survival game. Author, Kuan-Ke. Chapter 494. Help us! Help us! When the fleeing players saw Sutingyu and the other two, their faces were filled with excitement, and they desperately fled in the direction of the ladder. Sutingyu stood there and watched as these players ran up to her. Just when she was about to ask about the situation, the fleeing players continued to escape without slowing down, directly past the two of them, and continued to escape. This is it. Sutingyu blinked his big eyes. Was he using them as a shield? Good guy, don't talk about martial ethics. You. When the 6 red chi demons saw Sutingyu and the two people at the front, for a moment, their eyes moved down and landed on the ancient bronze sword in Qin Shi's hand. Among them, the red chi demon hesitated for a moment. Qin Shi's eyes flashed coldly, and he slashed with his sword, taking the opportunity to chop off a demonic red head. The moment Yaoxi's head fell to the ground, his eyes moved stiffly twice, with some confusion in his eyes. Qin Shi didn't even look at it. He turned the sword with his backhand and thrust it straight down. The tip of the sword just penetrated into the head and disappeared into the ground. The head that was pierced by the ancient bronze sword turned into a small stream of red smoke after a few seconds and flew away in the wind. Eili, Xiantian, the obviously most ferocious red spirit demon, roared, as if issuing some kind of order. The other red chi demons echoed each other and rushed toward the two of them. Hey! You're not afraid of us, and you're not running away either? So good. Sutingyu was stunned and very moved. While approaching the red chi demon, he quickly took out the death blade. Don't worry, the little fairy will definitely save you. Sutingyu held the death blade tightly, and the dark blood-colored luster all over the blade suddenly brightened. A ray of Daosanyan's sword energy was condensed and shot towards the attacking red chi Yaoxi. Even if the corrosive sword energy only slightly brushes against the body of the evil spirit, it can instantly take away the evil energy from the contact area. The death blade is the most powerful thing to restrain evil spirits. The red chi demon in the lead noticed that Sutingyu and the others were in trouble, so he turned around and tried to escape. Sutingyu was shocked. Don't run. Points. There was still some effect of the accelerating potion, so Sutingyu activated it without any hesitation. Within a few breaths, he caught up with the red chi demon who ran away from 7 or 8 houses. Points. Stay. Sutingyu raised the death blade with one hand, his eyes sharp. He raised the knife and chopped it into pieces. Hey! Sutingyu watched intently as the flame above the head of the red chi Yaoxi was completely extinguished, and then she felt relaxed. Sutingyu turned around and looked back. Hey, next, there are 2 little darlings. You kill a red spirit demon and get 50 points. You kill a red spirit demon and get 50 points. You kill a red spirit demon and get 50 points. Ding dang dang. The melodious sound of points being credited sounded, and Sutinyu looked very happy. Not bad, not bad, I'm in the top 20 again. Try to get into the top 10. Oh no, it's the top 5, Sutinyu glanced at the updated standings and found that his ranking was already 17th. Let's go find Fatty Chin. She looked at his temporary ranking of first place and closed the panel. Oh, I remember, it's over here. Sutinyu identified the road on the spot, and then pointed in a direction. Let's go. Another 5 minutes passed. During this period, the two of them encountered two red chi demons blocking their way. Without any nonsense, they quickly took action to deal with them. After turning a corner, the door of the Feng family's ancestral house was in sight.